to face. Now, if you don't think things are different, and because things are different in the world we live in, things are going to become more difficult. You look at where we have come from in 2023, all the challenges that we had in 2023, all the things that we faced economically and politically, and now we are in the midst of two wars at one time, fought in two of the strategically most important places on the planet. One is in the Middle East and the other one is in the breadbasket of the world, which is in Ukraine. Ukraine represents a place where most of the world's grain and barley and wheat is produced. That's why it's called the breadbasket of the world. The Middle East is a place where most of the oil comes from. Most of the resources that are turned into petroleum come from the Middle East. So in both of those places, because there's conflict, it puts the world in perils. But now in America, we are faced also with a crisis in politics, because around November of this year, we're going to elect a new president. And because of the political uncertainty of who's going to be president, our world is sitting on a powder keg. Everybody is really vulnerable right now. Everybody is nervous. And not even that is the end of the story. But then Paul says the love of many have waxed cold. People just don't care about each other the way they used to care about each other. The love of many have waxed cold. You know, we used to love people, be concerned about people. We used to live in a culture, in a society where people at least had a conscience. Some things you could not do. The two groups that we always respected were elderly people, who are the vulnerable among us, and children. But people don't even consider that as anything to respect and to protect anymore. People will rob somebody or take advantage of a child. I'm telling you, we live in a crazy world. And then I can really talk about something that, if none of those things really disturb you or bother you, I'm going to talk about something that really affects you, and that's money. And most of us are suffering from not having enough of it. And we are all paying too much for everything. Inflation has affected all of us. And then I can move from finances to your health. Some of us, every day we wake up, something is wrong with us. Do I have any witnesses in here? Now, if you wake up in the morning and you don't have any aches and pains, you are in the minority. But most of us can agree that every morning we wake up, something is hurting. And if you're like me, Dora, once you get your ears straightened out, your foot start hurting. Once your foot start hurting, your shoulders start hurting. It's always something hurting in me, on me. I'm telling you, we live in a world in 2024, it's going to be a challenge. And I can tell you, you got to get the right message about how to handle these challenges that face us. And these challenges that face us, there needs to be a biblical worldview in order to view them. Because in this world we live in, we have two kinds of people. People who believe in something, and then people who don't believe in anything. And that is going to determine how you face these challenges that are before us. And so in this series of sermons, I want to talk about your faith. I want to talk about your fitness, but I also want to talk about your finances. These are the three areas you're going to have to really focus on in this season. Because this is a season that is going to be a challenging season, and you need to really focus on the basics. And you really don't need to focus as much on the things outside of you that you can't control, but you do need to focus on the things you can control. And what you can control is your faith, your fitness, and your finances. And God gives us a prescription on how to handle those three areas of our lives. And I really want you to take some advice from God through His Word about these three things. I wanted to start out talking about your faith because faith is the most important. Because we're going to read in Hebrews chapter 11 a phrase that is absolutely astonishing, because God is going to tell us this: without faith it is impossible to please Him. Yeah. And so if it is impossible to please God without having faith, you need to understand what real faith, what biblical faith really is. And so I want to look at it. Hebrews chapter 11 is one of the most important and definitive verses on faith. Now listen, can I pause a minute? What you're hearing on television is not faith. What you hear these television preachers preaching about faith is not faith, because that is a secular view of faith. But I want to give you a biblical world view of faith, and you've read this chapter many times. I really just want to focus on the first two verses, because the first two verses give us not a definition of faith, but a description of faith. Because if you read the entire 11th chapter, you're going to see some descriptions of faith. There is really no definite definition of faith, because faith is different based upon the person, their circumstances, and the purpose of God has for their life. And so there's really no exact definition of faith. And Hebrews chapter 11 verses 1 and 2 is a description of faith. And so I'm not going to try to define what faith is, because faith to you is different for faith to anybody else. It's an individual thing. That's the reason why in Hebrews chapter 11 there are so many different people that are listed in this particular chapter, and all of these people experience faith on a different level in a different circumstances, and all of these descriptions of faith might fit at some time in some circumstance in your life. Now, there is no definition of faith, so I didn't come here to try to define faith, because it's really hard to define what faith is. And so what the writer of Hebrews, who we don't know who it is going to describe to us a description. He's not going to try to define, because it's really hard to define. Now let me give you this. Let me tell you what faith is not. Faith is not faith in faith. And that's what the hyper-faith, contemporary church movement teaches, that you have faith in faith. But that's not what faith is, because just because you will something or believe something or want something, you just speak it into being. That is not biblical faith. Now I need to go ahead and just tell you that, because so many people think you can name it and claim it. Because you believe it, you can receive it. That's not the kind of faith that is talked about in Hebrews chapter 11 verse 1. Now what he's going to start out by saying, now faith is the assurance of things hoped for. I really want to explain this to you, because it's very important that you get this, that you understand this, that you really embrace this idea of what faith is. It is the substance of things hoped for. And I really just want to park right there. The word substance means foundation. It is the very thing of a foundation. And you know what a foundation is. Foundation is what supports everything else. Without a foundation, you can't have walls. Without foundation, you can't have a roof. Without foundations, you can't have windows and doors. You need a sure foundation, and the foundation is what holds up everything else. And so he gives a description that faith is the substance of things hoped for, which is a foundation. You have to have faith in something.
Yeah.
You got faith in something. I don't care whether you believe in God or not. Or not. You have faith in something. And let me explain this to you. Faith is described as having faith in something.
Yeah.
Let me give you this. You are supposed to have faith in God. God is the foundation of our faith. God is the substance of our faith. You just don't have faith in nothing or faith in faith itself. You have faith in God.
That's right.
Faith is the substance of things hoped for. And really what he's saying in this particular text, if you have any hope, that hope is based on and in God. And listen, you have faith in God. All biblical faith is in God. He's going to get further in this text and explain that if you have faith in God, there are some things that comes with that. That's going to be hard for you to swallow, because when you have faith in God and God is the source of your faith, literally you're going to have to believe what you can't see. You're going to have to believe what you don't understand. You're going to have to walk a life of faith. And literally, God is the foundation of all biblical faith. Okay, faith down here, in faith, what is up here, and what is up here, you can't see it, you don't understand it, it's absolutely unexplainable. I tell you what, you think that's hard. It's hard. That's a hard reach. I tell you what you do, since you're so smart, reach up and grab some air. A-I-R. Reach up right now and grab some air. You can't see it, but you know that air is in this room because you are breathing it. You don't see it, but you know it's here. You can't see God, but the evidence of God is everywhere. Man, I'm trying to grab something. I can't grab no air. I tell you what, hold your nose. And put your hand over your mouth. That's what he says. God you cannot see. God you cannot explain. And God, and I really don't want to get too deep and technical in this, but God is such a complicated or even a mysterious being. He exists, but you can't see him. You can't explain him. You can't even comprehend the idea of the concept of a being that lives outside of time and is not affected by time, space, or matter, but he exists. You cannot look at the sun in the sky and say that the sun created itself. You cannot look at nature itself and say that God doesn't exist. Okay, I can bring it home to you. You can't look at yourself, because if you could have made yourself, you wouldn't be who you are. But the fingerprint of God is all over you. And an invisible being created you. He knew you before you were ever put in your mother's womb. You didn't come from nowhere, but you came from God. I'm telling you, you can't even wrap your mind around. I can't explain to you God. God is not his name. God is a title. And the difference between the deity that other religions follow, they can explain the origins of their God. But we can't. All we know that he existed before time, outside of time, and he's not affected by time. And according to Colossians, by him, everything was created by him.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Why are you going down that rabbit hole? I'm trying to explain to you. That's the God to whom you have faith
Yes, sir.
in.
Yes, sir.
That's why all of your hope
Yes, sir.
is based upon the substance of that fact.
That's right.
That you have faith in the invisible God that you cannot see, that you cannot explain, and he is an immaterial God.
Yeah.
You can see me, but you cannot put your finger on God. Even though he can't be seen, he's everywhere at the same time. He exists right in this moment. God exists.
Yes, sir.
He is eternal.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Boy, I can really get technical because I feel something right now. But not only is he eternal, he's omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, he's immutable. He is the God who's everywhere at the same time. He don't have to leave nowhere to go nowhere because where he's going, he already is. And he ain't absent nowhere because where he's absent, his presence already. I'm trying to explain to you, that's the God you have your faith in. The substance of faith is God. The foundation of faith is God. Don't put your faith in human beings. We are fallible human beings.
We'll let you down.
That's
And then I got to move to this second section. I'm almost finished. Faith, the substance of things hoped for. So any hope that we have, and I really have to just spend a little time with this word hope. Because you're going to see hope is the belief that something good is going to happen that hadn't happened yet. And one commentator defined it like this: it's believing in God's promises when you ain't in a place where God's promises are being manifested. And in this list of people, you're going to see people who have to take God at his word, and when God tells them something going to happen, it hadn't happened, but they got to have hope that it is going to happen. And while they wait on God's promises to happen, they have to be patient. And they have to hope without seeing. Man, y'all about to make me preaching. And see, the only thing that really keeps you alive is hope.
All right.
Without hope, you can't make it.
Great job.
No, sir.
And he says all the hope that we have is based on the substance of faith, which is God, the foundation of faith. That's how I know things are going to get better. And I know things are going to get better even if I don't get better. I know things are going to get better even if my circumstances don't look better. Things for me as a Christian are always getting better. You cannot live as a Christian without hope. And when the song says we are standing on the promise, that's exactly what we're doing. A promise of what God said that has not yet happened. But you have to walk the walk of faith.
That's it. That's it.
Faith is the substance of things hoped for. Man, I could preach a whole sermon, right?
Go ahead.
The evidence of things not. You said, I don't get that. Pastor, you might not get it, but you live it every day. You know what I mean? Well, let me explain to you what I mean. You work 5 days a week and you didn't get a check on Monday. You wait to get one on Friday.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes.
You're hoping for what you don't have. And you're hoping at the end of the week, based on the commitment of the person you work for, that if you exercise a certain level of labor, at the end of the week, you're going to get a reward, but you don't start out with the check.
Yeah. No, sir.
But you hoping at the end of the week, a check. They don't do paper checks no more, but a deposit.
You're right.
At 12:05, Friday night or Saturday morning, gonna be deposited into your. And at the beginning of the week, and some of y'all that work for that furniture company up in North Mississippi, that hope wasn't delivered because they filed bankruptcy. But I'm telling you, every week you live with a hope of a promise that isn't delivered at the time it's promised. You have no evidence of the financial sovereignty or the solvency of the company you work for. They ain't letting you look into their bank account to see the financial solvency. But you hoping
Yes, sir.
at the end of the week it's a check in your possession.
That's true.
And you don't have no evidence. That's what faith is.
Amen.
You have no, listen, man, I'm really trying not to get into these illustrations that he gave, but let me explain this to you.
That's all right.
God can be making some promises to you that has not yet happened, and there's no evidence that they're going
Yes, sir.
to happen.
Yes, sir.
I mean, he could call you
Yes, sir.
to do something
Yeah.
and tell you something's going to happen.
Yes, sir.
I mean, it ain't no evidence whatsoever.
Don't know.
One of the commentators want me to tell you about, it's not in this list, is Elijah. Elijah, God told him it was going to rain, but it wasn't a cloud in the sky. And he had a lot riding on, it rained.
Yeah, that's right.
And he had no evidence. The servant went out there and said, look, Elijah said it's going to rain. Elijah, ain't a cloud in the sky. Went back. God said, go back out there. And he said, look, Elijah, still ain't no cloud in the sky. And the third time he went out there and said, boy, it's a little bitty cloud that's about that big. Elijah said, it's going to start raining. Because God don't need much in order to make it
You better say it.
rain.
You better say it.
With that little cloud, God's promises were fulfilled. And see, the problem is you need to see something.
Yes, sir.
And let me tell you what faith is not. It's not only what you don't see, but faith is not about a feeling.
Yes, sir.
Because if faith was about a feeling, I don't feel like God gonna do nothing he said he's gonna do.
That's your enough, preacher. That's right. Show enough, preacher.
All right, sweetheart.
All right.
Come on, baby. That's right. Yeah, you're right.
He gives us this description of faith. It is the evidence of things not seen. Boy, I'm telling you. And I ain't want to get into this thing about blind faith because that's kind of hyper faith in its idea and understanding. I'm telling you, it's not devoid of evidence, but it's the idea that things not seen. God can make a promise, and God can draw a conclusion.
Yeah.
God can literally pick the winners and what place you're going to come in
Yes, sir.
and completely leave you in the dark about it. And then still expect you to move forward
Yes, sir.
without any evidence. Let me simplify it a little more.
Come on, preacher.
Come on, baby.
He who has begun a great work in you will complete that work until the day of Jesus Christ. Now you done got sick. with a terminal disease, a disease that has killed most people.
Yeah.
But he who has begun a great work in you will complete that work until the day of Jesus Christ. Now, it looks to you as if, though, a stumbling block has been thrown in your way, and God will let that stumbling block be thrown in your way.
Yeah.
And so why did this have to happen? If he who has begun a great work in me will complete that work until the day of Jesus Christ. And why should cancer come upon me at such an inopportune moment? I don't feel like God's purpose for my life is yet complete. See, you got to understand. Boy, I got to give you what this commentator said, because listen, this is what makes you shout.
Yeah, come on.
Let me tell you the thing about God that makes him so unique, and I'm going to tell you why you need to have faith in this God. It's because God, this didn't come from me, but I want to give it to you. It's because I need to tell you this is so profound, and that is this: God can see around corners. You got to know when to shout. You can't see around the corner, so God anticipates what you can't see, and he can see around corners. God can see down the road. God can look into your future.
All right.
Come on, preacher.
He can put you in your future, and you're not even yet in your future. You're in your present. And you're struggling. But he who has begun.
All right.
Come on, preacher. Put your weight on me. Come on, preacher.
The reason why they ain't rolled you down this aisle, because he who has begun a great work in you will complete it. The reason why you in 2024, he who has begun a great work.
Yes, sir. Hey, preacher. Come on, Shepard. You own it now. Come on.
Yes, sir.
Come on, Shepard. Now you talking.
Uh-huh.
Boy, I tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on now. Come on.
The evidence of things not
Yeah. Come on, preacher.
seen.
Well.
Yeah.
He look around curved,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
looks into the future.
Come on, preacher. Yes, sir.
Can I give him this? I gotta give him this
Come on,
understanding.
come on, preacher.
Not only can God look around curved, not only can God see into the future, but let me give you the shouting part. But I gotta go to Job to tell you about it this way. He can look in you. And he knows what's in you. Even when you don't know what's in. He knows it's some stuff that's in you.
Yeah. Come on, preacher. Yes, sir.
I mean, I gotta go to Job and
Yeah.
but still, can I just give you this?
Go ahead.
That you got to understand that if really the outcome of Job's story was fixed before it ever started. Because what God told Satan,
Yes.
you can throw all that at him.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, he ain't gonna curse me.
No, sir.
And he ain't gonna go back. Because let me tell you, more than what the devil can put on you, God done put something in you. And you don't even know that it's in you until you go.
Yes, sir.
No, until you come out. Because when you go through something, you feel like giving.
Yes, sir.
This Georgia must have lost.
Yeah.
Didn't get my handkerchief this month.
That's all right.
Feel like throwing in the towel.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now don't sit up here and act holy, because some of us have felt like throwing in the.
Amen. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Really get hard. Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
God knew he put something in you.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Say it, preacher.
Well, that's why you, where you are,
Uh-huh.
doing what you doing,
Yeah.
acting like you acting, praising like you praise,
Yes, sir.
shouting like you
Yes,
shout,
sir.
stepping like you stepping. And we know what you've been. Hell and high water. Storm and boy, if we only knew what you really been through. We see you decked up and dressed up on Sunday morning, but if you know. The hell I've been through. Been through the flood. Been through the fire. I didn't even think I.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm trying to be calm.
Come on, preacher.
Talk.
It's all right.
Yeah.
It's all right. Give us the word, preacher.
Christopher Davis told this story. He going somewhere. The gas tank was on empty. In the middle of nowhere, no gas station near. And on empty.
Yeah.
Got nervous. Didn't know what to do. And then he pulled out the manual while he was driving, read it. And the manual said, even though the hand is on empty, even after empty that, you can go 50 extra miles. Go on and shout. That's why you here. Because when you was on empty, when it looked like it was more in you than what you thought, somebody ought to shout.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead, preacher. Show enough.
You thought you was on empty. We thought you was on empty. But God, reach wide.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Come on, preacher.
Yeah.
You own it, Doc. Come on.
Boy,
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir.
boy, I wish you could come into my prayer room sometime.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
When it's just me and the Lord.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Say it, preacher.
Trouble from every side.
Yes, sir. Say it, preacher. Come on now.
Look like I'm on
Woo.
empty.
Go
But,
ahead. Yeah. My God.
but God.
Yeah. Sure enough, he'll take you. Yeah. He'll take care of you. Come on, preacher. Come on, preacher.
Some of y'all thought you were on
Got something to shout about. Yes, sir.
empty.
Yes, sir.
But it was more in you than what you thought.
Sure enough.
All right.
Don't give up.
Yeah, no, sir.
Christopher Davis said he kept driving. And he rode up on a gas station. I'm trying to quit.
That's all right.
Something got hold to me.
Hey, that's all right now. Yes, sir. Let it be.
Let me give you these three things, and I got to quit.
Come on, preacher.
I literally got to quit because I'm trying not to get past these two verses. Let me give you the three kinds of faith the Bible talks about. And then I'm going to my seat. He talks about first, the Bible talks about saving faith. Saving faith is what you use when you come to Jesus. All of us have had to have faith, saving faith. Because we are saved by faith through grace.
Yes, sir.
That's how you got saved, because of your saving faith in the finished work of Jesus Christ. That's why you're saved, because you said you believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, and that for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. You're saved because of your saving faith. All of us have used that kind of faith. Then the Bible talks about believing faith. Believing faith is not to name it and claim it, to speak it and it shall be manifested. But believing faith is you trust in God's word
Yeah.
and God's promises. I believe everything that the Bible says. If it doesn't come out the book, don't tell me to believe it. I believe only what's in the book. That's believing faith. I stand on the promises of God. Now I got to give you something. I know we was just about to shout, but I got to give you this because I sure was about to cut loose. But I got to pause and give you this. Let me give you this right here. There are no Christian principles in the Old Testament. First of all, because there were no Christians in the Old Testament. There were only believers. I said that to say this, that you cannot claim the promises in the Old Testament because those promises are not for us. The stories in the Old Testament are stories to teach us how God deals with his people. But those promises were made specifically to people, and there are no Christian promises to Christians because those were not Christians, they were believers, because Jesus Christ was concealed in the Old Testament, revealed in the New Testament. Now there are Christian promises and principles in the New Testament that you can stand on, but not in the Old Testament. Simple as this, you cannot receive the blessings of Abraham because you ain't Abraham. Sing the song all you want to sing it, but those are not promises made to Christians, but those who believe in God, because they did not have the written word, but God spoke to them audibly through revelation. That's important as we teach these lessons. Don't think as he did for them, he's going to do for you. Because these are stories to teach us how God deals with his people and how people responded to God dealing with them. There are some lessons for us to learn, but there are no promises for us. I'm just trying to explain this to you. Because you'll start believing all these New Age preachers that tell you, like Abraham, you can have what Abraham. No, you can't. Because you, pray to God, you don't be the father of many of a nation. And I'm trying to explain that to you. And let me give you verse 2, and I'm closing. For by it the elders obtained a good report. And I'm finished. Because this is important. Now, I said all that to say this. How you're going to obtain a good report, obtain the favor of God, or the blessings of God, or the promises of God, is through faith in God. Yeah. The problem with our modern society, we want the blessings without the person who is the source of blessings. We want the promises of God, but we don't want God. We want everything that God has, but we don't want God. It says by faith, having their faith firmly planted in God, by having no evidence and trusting God, the elders obtained a good report. I wanted to give you this, and oh, you did. I'm sorry. It was hidden under my computer. Let me explain this to you. A resume for you is being written, and it's being written by God.
That's all right now.
And that resume, man.
Come on, preacher. Tell it. Yes, sir.
That's how they obtain a good report. And now we finna get the spiritual resume of faith of these men that are going to be named, starting with Abel. And I won't get into his resume today because I'm going to preach all of them individually. But let me explain to you, through your life, in your life, unseen things are happening from the invisible God for his glory, for your good, and they are happening to write your spiritual resume.
Amen, preacher.
This resume you can't write, you just have to live. he wrote these people's resume.
Yeah.
The invisible God called a visible person, put a purpose for them, and he made a promise to them based on that purpose. They lived in the present with a promise and a purpose, and they had to walk toward that promise and that purpose without any evidence. And God writes their resume as they walk. I'm trying to explain to somebody. As you go through life right now, in what you're in right now, carrying what you're carrying, being burdened with what you're burdened with, God is writing your resume. And a resume speaks to how he writes it. And these things on that spiritual resume, that's how you obtain favor. Or I don't want to kind of use this overuse this status with God. And status with men is when you learn how to walk close to thee. That's what you got to do in life. Just for close or walk with thee.
Yes, sir.
That's what you got to do, my brothers and sisters. Walk with Jesus. And just they obtained a good report. Now listen, let me give you this, and I got to close. Notice as we look at the resume of these people, nobody experienced wealth, health, and prosperity. Nobody had material possessions, house, cars, cash, and the leisure things of life. But what they did have was a good report.
Right now.
They didn't try God in his divine purpose, didn't try to make them look good for the sake of making them look good. He made them look good so other people can be inspired by their walk of faith. I told you that this is not a definition of faith. This is a description of faith. Now he's going to give us a demonstration of faith. He's going to give us in this text a description of faith, and then he's going to give us a demonstration of those people who lived out their faith. And you might be in the process of God using you as a living demonstration of faith. You on God's list in.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Man.
Thank you, Father.
See, that's why you got to be careful when you say use me.
Okay. You better say that, preacher.
Thou art the Father, and I am.
Say it, preacher.
Well, so he's going to give us a demonstration of those who had the right kind of faith. And how that faith was lived out in their lives. God wants to use somebody in this church, and is using somebody in this church, through your troubles, trials, and tribulations, your valleys and your mountains, the storms, the trials and tribulations, as a demonstration of what resilient faith looks like. See, they talking about you, they lying on you. You've been sick, you've been broke, you've been despised and rejected, your name has been reviled, but yet you still here. You are demonstration. You know, that's the word demonstration and display are two different things, but in order to demonstrate something, you got to put it on display. The best thing I like to talk to people about is when you go into Sam's, they have some demonstrations, but what's on demonstration is put on display. And whatever is being demonstrated is putting on display for everybody who passed by to see the quality of it and the goodness of it, the flavor of it, and the goodness of it. And that's what God is doing in your life. Not only is he using you as a demonstration, but he's putting you on this to show the goodness of his grace, the faithfulness of your commitment.
Go ahead, preach up. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm going to get personal, but don't get offended.
Go ahead. That's all
If
right.
you get offended, I know you're guilty. That's why you still here.
Hello.
Because this ain't no easy place to go to church.
Say it, preacher.
But you still here because he's using you as a demonstration to put you on display of what it means to be a member in a difficult place. And along with putting you in a difficult place, he's giving you a difficult set of circumstances. Not only do you have to deal with this publicly, but you got some private struggles that don't nobody know about, but you in the Lord. And yet you show up.
Say it, preach up.
He demonstrated.
Yeah.
All right.
And see, he gonna do just like he did with the devil. One of these days, he gonna say, consider my servant sowing.
Yes, Lord.
It's an old word, sowing.
Yes, sir.
And you ain't been the so-and-so he picked out to be picked on, just keep on hanging around here. Wonder you done had Joe picked out to be picked on, and that you still standing where God placed you. You're still standing where you was before you went through what you went through. And you didn't give up. He used you as a demonstration. Now he got you on display. Because he who has begun a great work in you.
Come on, preach up.
Oh, yes.
Come on, preach up.
Yeah.
Keep on walking around here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Some of you wondering why you can't leave, because this is the place God has
Hey.
planted you.
Hey, preach up.
And he's working on you.
Yes, sir.
He is the potter. You are the clay. He's molding you. He's making you.
Don't up, preach up.
He's putting some stuff in you, giving some stuff
Yes, sir. Preach up. Come on now.
out of you. One of the favorite songs I like of Dale Cody, and I'm giving my benediction and closing now, is God is preparing you. Ever find time? Spotify, listen to the song, God is using me. They're using you. And that song, his proposition is God is preparing you for what has not yet happened in your life. He's always preparing you for what has not yet happened in your life, because God can see around corners. He can see into the future, and he knows what's in you. And so he's always setting you up. And you don't think you can bear what it is you're bearing. And you don't think it can get no worse. And you think you have took on as much as you can bear. You've taken as much as you can take. But God knows what's in the tank, baby. Hands empty.
That's right.
He got some reserves. Reserves in you. Every head bowed and every eye closed. I'm telling you, faith, biblical faith, is firmly planted in God. And biblical faith, no evidence, and you can't see what God is doing, how God is going to do it. You just stand on the promises that God is going to do it. And some of you, you've been through hell and high waters. If we only knew what you really been through, boy, we'd shout with you.